Oh, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Namaste. I'm Radhishamdasi. Is Bhagavad Das.
Well, namaste.
And tonight is Bhagavad Das giving his Bhagavad Gita class. And now we will start the Kirtan. Hope you like to join in with us. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namine Namo Hare
Satara Sadashishima Guru Siddhasurupananda Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnu Paramahansa Parivajika Satara Satashishima His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Gaura Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Nitai Gaur's World Mission Ki Jai Navadvita Dhamma Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Gaura Premanandi, Hare Hare Bol. Amagina Timarandasya Gina Gina Salakaya Chaksurun Militanyena Tajmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Statpitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Tarati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanan Pavinbhyo Vaishnavbhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Siddhaswarupananda Paramahansa Niti Namine Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahansa Namine Gaura Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prastayate. Before speaking, first I offer my respectful obeisances under the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Jagat Guru Siddhaswarupananda Srila Prabhupada, whose very dear Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada is the mercy manifestation of Lord Chaitanya, Gaura Karuna Swarupaya, and is very dear to Radha and Krishna, Radha Krishna Prastayate. And offer my respects to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are like wish-fulfilling trees, who are full of compassion upon the fallen souls. Haribol, Namaste. So I hope you're all well and doing okay. okay in this time of stress and anxiety and difficulty due to lockdowns and fear and concern about the virus and all the mass unemployment and economic difficulties and so on and so forth. So I made a post in my Facebook account today, and someone commented that, oh, it is, thank you for posting quotes from the Vedic literature which show, provide light in this dark age. And it reminded me of the slogan of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami's Back to Godhead magazine, where he would say, Godhead is light, nescience is darkness. Where there is Godhead, there is no darkness. And so we're very fortunate to be recipients of, through our spiritual master, of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami's Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charamrita, Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasa Rita Sindhu, Nectar of Instruction, Sri Ishapanishad, and all the various books and booklets that Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami wrote and translated for our benefit. And these wonderful works are like shedding light, letting us see things as they are. As the first prayer that I chant in the Mangala Charana, the auspicious invocation before a Bhagavad Gita class is Oma Gina Timarandasya Gina Gina Salakaya Chaksurun Militanyena Tajmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who is opening my eyes with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I was born in the darkest ignorance. My spiritual master opens my eyes with the torch of transcendental knowledge. And sometimes this torch or this section, or these words are translated as a salve. So it's like we have, our eyes are diseased and it's like they're closed shut and we can't see, and then spiritual master applies the salve of transcendental knowledge, jnana, to our eyes, and we become able to see. And so we can see through the light of Shastra, which Krishna calls in Bhagavad Gita Jnana Chakshusha, so seeing through the eyes of knowledge. And these, our eyes of knowledge are based upon and opened by our study of the Vedic literatures, by listening to our spiritual masters' wonderful lectures and reading the various Vedic literatures that we've been given, in particular the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Chaitanya Charamrita. So these will, if we study these works, these will give us the knowledge with which we can see in this dark age of Kali Yuga, and in particular this dark and depressing age of a pandemic. We've been studying Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, and I kind of should apologize. I move quite slowly here. It takes me sometimes 2 or 3 weeks just to discuss one verse. So probably you'd all like to maybe move a little bit faster. So we'll see if I can do that. But in Bhagavad Gita 2:16, Krishna describes what is Sat and Asat. And I spoke at length about Sat and Asat. You're probably all like, wow, we don't hear about that anymore. So anyway, Sat, of course, is what's real, and Asat is what is false or unreal. And after hearing this verse, of course, in Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami's Prabhupada translation, he kind of makes it, he adds in a word that's actually not there in the Sanskrit, just to make it a little bit clearer for us. But he says, or he translates in 2:16, those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, and as in brackets, the material body, because the words, the material body, isn't there. There is no endurance. And of the soul, of the eternal, in brackets, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami is giving us the clue here as to what Krishna is referring to when he says, Na sato vijite bhavo, na bhavo vijite sataha. So there is just the words sat and asat, and so no soul or material body. So Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami is adding these words to give us the clue. But so when Krishna is speaking these verses to Arjuna, Arjuna could be a little confused, or what are you referring to, Krishna? And the Bhagavad Gita, sometimes it's called Gita Upanishad, and quite a lot, or quite a few verses of the Bhagavad Gita are actually either actual verses from Upanishads, or they're very similar to verses from the Upanishads. And Upanishad, the word Upanishad means to sit close, and which means a spiritual master instructing a student or disciple. And oftentimes, the Upanishadic language is very cryptic and difficult to understand. And so here Krishna has spoken, chapter 2, text 16, and Arjuna can be a little bit confused. So what is Krishna referring to here? What is this sat and asat? And to clarify what his point is, then Krishna speaks in 2:17, and in 2:17 Krishna says, that which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable self. So here Krishna talks about what is sat. Krishna in 16, he's talking about what is sat and asat, and saying that sat, that of the sat, of the eternal, there is no change. And so here Krishna expands upon this. He explains that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. And then in 2:18, Krishna describes what is asat. And he says, the material body, the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore fight, O descendant of Bharata. So Krishna then is in these verses 2:17 and 18 is clarifying what is sat and what is asat. So talking about 2:17, so that which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So the soul's influence is spread all over the body through consciousness. So Krishna is saying that which pervades the entire body. So says, Abhinashitu tadvidi yena sava midam tatam. So yena sava midam tatam, yena by whom, savam, all of the body, idam this, tatam pervaded. So, the whole body is pervaded by consciousness. In fact, this spirit soul, and Bhaktivedanta Swami quotes from a verse from the Svetasvatara Upanishad, which describes that the spirit soul is 1/10,000th tip, 1/10,000th of the size of the tip of a hair. Which of course is like, well, how can you even conceive of the size of the spirit soul, the spiritual particle of consciousness? So the spirit soul, the spark of life, the minute part and parcel of the Supreme Soul is only 1/10,000th the size, the tip of a hair, and yet it pervades the entire body. So what is it that pervades the entire body? It is consciousness. And so the spirit soul is only conscious of its own body, its own subtle body, which Krishna refers to in text 14 and 15 of chapter 2, and of the gross physical body, which Krishna refers to in text 13. So the spirit soul, us, the jiva, the atma, we're within the subtle body and the gross physical body, but it is us, the soul, who is conscious of the mind and the body. So the mind and the subtle body and the gross physical body only exhibit the symptoms of life due to the presence of the soul. So it's actually, it's a bit like it's a bit like a puppet. You have a puppet show, and it used to be the Punch and Judy shows that were, very popular in England and spread throughout the world. But anyway, you have these puppet shows, and it appears that the puppet is moving and that the puppet's alive, or you have like a ventriloquist who has a dummy, sitting on his leg, and the mouth moves and it speaks and expresses emotions and feelings, and the puppets, their bodies move and they speak or appear to speak and and do things, and so it's a little bit of analogy about how this gross physical body and this subtle material body are just really just like they're not alive, just like the puppets are not alive, but they appear to be alive because there is a puppet master who is moving their limbs and speaking and projecting their voice, or speaking in a tone of voice that appears to come from the puppet or is appropriate to the type of puppet it is, whether it's male or female, young or old, it gives it an appropriate voice. So similarly, our gross physical bodies and our subtle material bodies, they're actually not alive. They only exhibit the symptoms of life when the minute spirit soul is present within them, and when the spirit soul's presence is detected by the symptoms of life. And then from the soul's point of view, the soul is conscious of the soul and the body, gross physical body. And so as soon as the minute spiritual particle, the soul covered, leaves this body, then it starts functioning. Of course, when the soul leaves this body, it goes covered by the subtle body and also the subtle life airs, and goes to its next body, taking the subtle body with it. So the analogy I'm given is not quite perfect, but nonetheless, this subtle material body is not alive. It appears to be alive and functions because of the presence of the soul. And when we become liberated from this world, from this gross physical body and this gross physical world, and become liberated from the subtle material body, we no longer have this subtle material body. Obviously, we're liberated from it. But the spiritual mind, there is no difference between the spiritual mind and the spirit soul, and no difference between the spiritual body and the spirit soul. It's all one energy. It's just as, Krishna's body is described by Lord Brahma in Brahma Samhita, 5th chapter, text 1. Actually, in the Brahma Samhita, we only actually have one chapter, chapter 5. It was obviously a much larger work. But when Lord Chaitanya was touring South India, he went into a temple and disappeared for a time, and then came out with a copy of Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, text 1. Not text 1, of Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, which is a wonderful chapter where Lord Brahma describes his blissfulness after seeing the Vaikuntha world, the spiritual world, which is all revealed to him after his first appearance in this world on the lotus flower, and he meditates upon Krishna, following Krishna's instruction of tapa, austerity, which actually we're discussing in the Srimad Bhagavad classes that I'm giving in Healing Chant 108 right now. But anyway, so Lord Brahma says in Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, text 1, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sakshirananda Vigraha Anadir Radir Govindaha Sava Karana Karanam. So Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the original cause of all causes, is the original supreme person, and his Vigraha, or his form, is comprised of Sakshirananda, or Sat, eternity, Chit, cognizance, and Ananda, bliss. So this is the nature of the spiritual body. It's not comprised of, like the material body is not Sat, it is Asat, which I've discussed at length, right? So this material body is temporary, comprised of flesh and blood, kidneys and brains and blood and bones, hair, right? And is, has various orifices from which disgusting substances emanate from each of them. So this is not a Sat body. A Sat body is spiritual, eternal, not temporary. And it is, the spiritual body is Chit, cognizant. So our bodies are not Chit. Our subtle and gross bodies are just ignorant, they're gross, and our subtle material body is full of ignorance. And Ananda, the spiritual body, is blissful. The spirit soul is by nature blissful and loving. Like we're little particles, like little love particles. We're happy when we are loving, and we want to love and be loved. This is the nature of the soul. And so we're full of bliss when we're directing this natural loving tendency that's intrinsic within us, that's actually who we are. When we connect this love up with Krishna, then we become fully joyful. Even before this, just as one becomes Brahma Bhuta, when we realize that our nature is that we are Brahman, spiritual in essence, then as Krishna says in chapter 18, text 54, Brahma Buddha Prasanatma, one who becomes Brahman realized, becomes fully joyful, Prasanatma, joyful. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami used to describe it as being jolly. We become very jolly when we become Brahman realized. And na sochiti, na kankshiti, doesn't lament and doesn't hanker, so no hankering and lamentation. Whereas now our life is full of hankering and lamentation. We want this, we want that, we want the other thing. And we're full of lamenting all the time. Lamenting about this and that. Lamenting about how unfair this is and how unfair that is. And why did you do that to me? And why didn't you do the other thing? And then, we're lamenting about, or, we're hankering for something, and then we're lamenting that we didn't get it. Or anxiety about will we get it, and we're lamenting, once we've got it, and we're worrying and lamenting about whether we'll lose it. And then, of course, once we lose it, we lament even more. So the spiritual body is comprised of Sat Chit Ananda, which is eternity, knowledge and bliss, whereas the Asat body, the subtle and gross material bodies, are Asat, so not eternal, not cognizant, actually just ignorant, full of ignorance, and they are not blissful, Ananda. Unfortunately, this material life is not very blissful at all. Occasionally there might be little glimmers of happiness, and this happiness comes of itself. We don't need to actually strive for it or seek it out. The amount of happiness we're allotted will come of itself. And then there's the dukkha, or unhappiness. It will also come. So our attempts to avoid it will be unsuccessful. We'll have a certain amount of bliss or happiness, sukha, dukkha. We'll have a certain amount of sukha, happiness, and a certain amount of dukkha, unhappiness. So this soul, the minute soul, the 1/10,000th tip, the size of 1/10,000th, the size of a tip of a hair, is indestructible. Krishna says that avinasi tu tad vidi, savinasi, so imperishable. So the soul is, you should know it. Tat, that, vidi, know it. So know that the soul is imperishable. He says, vinasha maya yashya. So vinasham, destruction. That nakashit, no one, katam, to do, ahati, is able. So no one is able to destroy the soul. It is indestructible. It's so small, it's immeasurable, practically speaking. So small that you can't. So small you can't possibly even see it or find it, and it is indestructible. It's spiritual. So in subsequent verses, Krishna describes how the soul is insoluble. It's not able to be burned, can't be dried, can't be dissolved, can't be cut, and of course Arjuna has different kinds of weapons. He has a water weapon, he has a fire weapon, he has a sword. So Krishna describes in these later verses how Arjuna's weapons are not able to harm the soul. The soul can't be just burnt, it can't be dried, can't be withered by the wind. Arjuna has a wind weapon. So this soul, the soul is indestructible. The soul can't be destroyed. It can't be injured. Like this gross physical body we have and this subtle material body we have can experience pain and injury. But we, the spirit soul, we actually have nothing to do with this pain and injury. We can't be injured. We can't be hurt. We can't be destroyed or killed. It's the body only that is killed. So of course this is all, spiritual life 101, the ABCDs of spiritual life. And so in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, as is appropriate, Krishna is stressing this distinction or difference between the soul, the embodied being, and the gross physical body. So Arjuna can get it, can understand and get the point that, he doesn't need to, that he can't kill Bhishma Dev. He can't kill Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev cannot be slayed, and similarly Arjuna cannot slay him. And someone who thinks, and actually Arjuna is not even a slayer because he is spirit soul, and it's only his gross physical body that is doing the slaying. So Krishna, keeps emphasizing here in these initial verses in Bhagavad Gita that Arjuna has nothing to lament for. He cannot slay Bhishma Dev or Dronacharya or his cousin brothers, the Dhritarashtra's, or Duryodhana, who Arjuna is so worried about slaying. They can't be killed. They're indestructible. They're imperishable. They cannot be killed. And Arjuna cannot kill them. So like this is, wonderful teachings that Krishna is giving here in the Bhagavad Gita. So an analogy is given that the soul, is like light in a glass jar. So if you have a jar and you have some light in it, that you can destroy the jar, right? But actually the light can't be destroyed. So similarly the spirit soul is light and cannot be destroyed. The container that's within the light may be destroyed. So actually, you can see it when you, when a person is alive and some people don't have much life. They're so depressed or unhappy or experiencing pain and suffering, and so they don't appear to have much life in them. But sometimes, you meet someone and they're just full of life. They're so happy, they're kind of happy, joyful people, and their eyes are like glowing and full of happiness, and so this is like the symptom of life, the presence of the soul, the consciousness and the fact that life is present there, and then when they leave their body, it's not that they no longer exist, no, they continue to exist. So Krishna in chapter 13, text 34, and somehow I think I might be being repetitive about some of these, some points I'm making here that I've previously made, but I did check to see. But anyway, Krishna says in chapter 13, text 34, Yatha prakashya yekaha kritsnam lokam mimam ravihi kshetram kshetri tata kritsnam prakashayati Bharata. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. So just as the sun illuminates the universe, so the soul illuminates the body by consciousness. So this is a wonderful, example that Krishna is giving. So in Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami's purport, he says, this verse more clearly explains the real nature of the soul, which is spread all over the body. Anyone can understand what is spread all over the body. It is consciousness. Everyone is conscious of the pains and pleasures of the body, in part or as a whole. This spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. The pains and pleasures of one body are unknown to another. Therefore, each and every body is the embodiment of an individual soul, and the center of the soul's presence is perceived as individual consciousness. So we can, although our consciousness is limited within our body, our gross physical body, we can actually project our consciousness. So in other words, like this harmonium here, I'm feeling some connection to it, right? In other words, ownership, albeit temporary ownership of something that exists for now and may outlast me, right? After I die, this harmonium may continue to exist. But actually, because I'm projecting my consciousness onto it and into it and feeling that it's mine, therefore it's like I have this connection with it. And so in that sense, but the value of this harmonium is because I'm attached to it. This is my projection of consciousness onto it. The idea being that, by doing so, I'm feeling attachment to it. So it's only of value in the sense that I'm attached to it, because I'm projecting my consciousness onto it. So I'm having a bit of a deja vu moment, like I've already discussed these different points. So, sorry, I've kind of been a bit distracted because I've, given some classes on other topics. We discussed Krishna's Appearance Day, and then last week in this class, and also in Healing Chant 108. And so anyway, so maybe I'll just move on to chapter 2, text 18. So here in this verse, Krishna is saying, the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore fight, O descendant of Bharata. So Krishna says, Antavanta ime deha nitya shoyokta saririnaha ashinina aprameyasya tajmad yudashva Bharata. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore fight, O descendant of Bharata. So here, as I mentioned at the start of the class, so in 2.16 Krishna talks about what is Sat and Asat. And Krishna in the previous verse 17 has described that the soul, the imperishable being, is what is Sat. And now Krishna is describing what is Asat, the material body, which is sure to come to an end and is destructible. The material body is sure to come to an end. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. So the word here Krishna uses or one of the words Krishna uses is aprameshyasya, immeasurable. So although I was mentioning, and as Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami described in the previous purport, quoting this Svatashvatara Upanishad, that the soul, it's described as being 1/10,000th the size of the tip of a hair. But, for all practical purposes, how do you measure 1/10,000th of the tip of a hair? So really what Krishna is saying, and another meaning of this word, aprameshayasya, refers to the soul's being incomprehensible. In other words, the mind can't measure it. Our mind can't measure 1/10,000th the tip of a hair. So it's beyond mind. Right? So one meaning of the word Maya means to measure. In this material world, we're measuring everything. How much money have you got? How tall are you? How much do you weigh? How big is your eyeball? How long is your hair? How much money have you got in the bank? How much money do you owe other people? How many children do you have? How many brothers have you got? How far is it from here to the beach? How far is it to the other planet? How old are you? How many days have you been alive? How many years have you been alive? And then we start to measure, well, maybe I've got so many years left. And this becomes more of an issue as we grow, as the body grows older, and we begin to have to reflect a bit more that, hey, there isn't that many years left. Like when you're a kid, you look at old people and you're like, wow, will I ever get that old? And you just can't relate to it. It's kind of like, you just don't get it. What is this? How can I grow old? I'm just young, and you think of old people as old fuddy-duddies, and, I'll never be like that, So it's like, anyway, but of course once you get old, as my body is getting older, it's kind of like, you start looking, right, like I'm 63, and this body is 63, and I'm still an old fuddy-duddy, and we get a newspaper, right? So of course young people these days, they're not interested in newspapers, they just use their phones, and anyway, but in the newspaper there's the obituary section, and so of course I don't, it's not like I read it. Sometimes I look at it. I can think there's only been one time when I've actually looked at the obituaries, and suddenly there was someone, not who I knew, but I knew their son. He worked for us in the company I run, and it was like, like my friend Peter's his name. Peter's father had died, and there's like the obituary, Anyway, so it's only happened once, but. Anyway, when I look at the obituaries sometimes, and I'm always like you look at the person's face, and then you look at, well, how old were they? And I see, that person there, they were younger than me. Or you look and see, oh no, they're older than me, maybe they're 75 or 79. So I'm measuring and going, oh, okay, 16 years different, So anyway, this is the nature of Maya. It means to measure. So we're always measuring. We're measuring, comparing myself to others. Is where this judgmentalism comes from, where we're judgmental. I'm comparing myself to someone else, and I'm judging them. I'm judging their activities. Is it good or bad? So there's always this measuring. Measuring doesn't necessarily mean how long something is or how far away something is. There's all kinds of measurements, and gross things, and so measuring of a person's qualities, so on. So anyway, so the spirit soul is not measurable. It's immeasurable. It's inconceivable and incomprehensible. So the blunt instrument of the mind, which is so gross, even though it's subtle and we can't see it or feel it, nonetheless it's very gross. So the gross material mind cannot measure or comprehend the soul. So the jiva, the possessor of the body, is eternal, and it is the knower and consciousness itself. And so the mind, which is known by the soul, can't know the soul. You can't go the other way, So, in in Christianity and generally in the way people speak about the soul, they talk as though we are the body, or the mind, body and mind together, and we have a soul. And so this is kind of like a bit of an attempt to measure the soul, to try to comprehend the soul. And so of course it's unsuccessful, because the soul is the knower, the mind is not the knower, the body is not the knower. And so the soul can't be known by material means. Just like, it said, like the soul can't enter into the spiritual world. And so even though the mind can travel very quickly, right now, just sitting here, my mind can travel to Sydney, where I grew up, and I can remember and think of and visualize places that I've been, places where I used to go as a child, or places where I go when I go back there. Of course, haven't been back there this year. Who knows when I'll ever go back, but the mind can travel at a very fast speed, can travel around the world, can travel anywhere where it's been, or anywhere where what it's seen a picture of, or try and visualize something that's been described to it. But the mind cannot enter into the spiritual world. We can't actually understand the spiritual world with our mind. And similarly, we can't understand the soul with our mind. Of course, through the descriptions of scripture and the Vedic literatures, and through the words of our spiritual master, we can get some sort of understanding. So, Krishna's words right here, he's describing the indestructible, the immeasurable. So we can kind of start to get an idea. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami in some of his first Back to Godhead magazines that he wrote in the 1940s, he would call the soul the anti-material particle, right? The anti-material particle, trying to, give the idea that it's completely the opposite of material. The soul is not material; it's anti-material, the complete opposite. So, of course, with the material mind, you try and understand. I wonder what an anti-material particle is. It's like, you can't do it. The material mind can't do it. So the soul cannot be understood by material methods. It's like that's why, even after all this time, and of course, Krishna describing the nature of the soul, the material scientists, they just can't get it. Like if you Google consciousness, and read the Wikipedia entry, or read psychologists' works and books and so on, they just really don't know what consciousness is or what the mind is. They just have no conception and can't describe it. It's like they're just absolutely, completely ignorant and just speculating away about what consciousness is. And so, of course, there's the big debates: is there a soul or isn't there a soul, and what is the soul? And they used to say, I remember when I was in high school in Sydney, the the saying was, "Oh, God is dead," had just come out. It was like a new thing that was being said, a new idea. And it's just, of course, absurd, of course, totally absurd. But it's all based on ignorance of the soul, because the material mind cannot enter into spiritual subject matter. So we have to spiritualize our mind, through chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra and the different mantras we receive from our spiritual master coming through the disciplic succession. We can purify our material mind and completely spiritualize it, and actually develop a spiritual mind so that the material mind can disappear. So I'll leave it there. I have a few more points to make about this text 18, but we should be able to move on a bit further next week. So thank you very much. Greatly appreciate your coming to my classes, and appreciate all your comments. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask me any questions, either through Facebook Messenger or just through comments here on the classes. It's good to get feedback and to help you if you have any questions or misunderstandings or anything like that. So please, feel free to ask questions. And this Friday I'll be speaking in Healing Chant 108 on Srimad Bhagavatam. Right now we're in the context of Bhagavad Gita, of the Chaitanya Shloki, chapter 10, text 8 to 11. We're exploring Srimad Bhagavatam leading up to the Chaitanya Shloki of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So anyway, thank you very much. Haribol. Let's have a little bit more Kirtan.
Haribol.